That's not how this game is played. You should confess your love to me. Then I reject you. You pine for me, unable to have me, and pursue me madly. When the sect faces a great calamity, you risk your life to protect me, nearly dying in the process, and then I regret it. My favorability meter fills up, unlocking the Resurrect Disciple CG. After that, we get together, instead of immediately drugging me, sealing my cultivation, locking me up, and forcing me to submit. Qin Shiyu stared at me with an unhealthy intensity, the surging love in her eyes threatening to drown me. Who would have thought that this heroine, born with the destiny of the desolate heavenly emperor, would fall in love with me, her master, instead of seeking out the male lead? Master, Shiyu didn't want this either, but you're out every day flirting and attracting many women. Your disciple felt anxious and uneasy. Qin Shiyu suddenly kissed me, her hand gripping my throat. I wanted to resist, but with my cultivation sealed, I was no different from a lamb waiting for slaughter. An intense, suffocating sensation flooded my brain, causing my tightly clenched jaw to loosen. Seeing this, Qin Shiyu pounced on me like a little wolf cub, and I, too, was swept away by her kiss. After our lips and teeth intertwined in a passionate embrace, she finally let go of me. You heartless little wolf cub. It was I who taught you cultivation techniques, gave you magical artifacts, and found elixirs to cleanse your meridians and marrow. If not for me, how would you have achieved what you have today? Facing my curses, Qin Shiyu seemed not to hear a thing. She stood with her hands clasped behind her back, looking down at me quietly. Her pair of azure eyes were like the sea. You can curse all you want, master. If you need anything, just call me. And as for your cultivation, you don't need to worry about it anymore. To seal your cultivation, I walked alone through the demonic lands of the outer realms for hundreds of years. No one else in this world can break the seals on you, except for me. Early winter. Perhaps it was due to the loss of my cultivation, but I actually felt a chill. Fortunately, Shiyu had already prepared a charcoal brazier for me. Sitting by the window, enjoying the beautiful scenery outside, a cold breeze brushed across my cheek, pulling my thoughts back to the past. Back then, relying on my memories of the book, I had preemptively taken all of the male lead's opportunities for myself. Not only did I obtain the inheritance of ancient swordsmanship, but I also reached the Emperor realm of cultivation at a young age. Even the old ancestor of the Nine Heavens sect was like an ant in my eyes. Looking across the entire cultivation world, there was no one left who could stand against me. However, I've always preferred to take it easy, deeply understanding that the greater one's ability, the more responsibilities one acquires. Therefore, I had always deliberately suppressed my cultivation to the Golden Core realm, just one realm higher than the heaven-blessed prodigies of my generation. Precisely because of this, I became the sect master's sole direct disciple, the holy son of the Nine Heavens sect. Every day, besides drinking wine, admiring the moon, and touring mountains and rivers, I spent the rest of my time idly flirting with the holy maidens from various sects and factions. As for a way to return, I had searched for many years without success. It wasn't until the day I first met Qin Shiyu that a mechanical voice sounded in my ear. System activated successfully. Next, a mission is being issued to the host. Please complete it, host. A computer screen appeared before my eyes. Seeing this, I no longer conceal my aura. The pressure of an immortal emperor suddenly erupted. In an instant, mountains and rivers trembled, and a humming sound emanated from the void. Host, how did you become an immortal emperor? This is impossible. How could the heavenly Tao allow you to become an emperor? Looking back over tens of thousands of years, even the sons of destiny could at most ascend to the Nine Realms' immortal court. To become an emperor, you would have to kill the lord of the heavenly court. The system stammered, then suddenly seemed to recall something extraordinary. You killed the heavenly emperor? Requesting host replacement for main system request, failed main system disconnected. A string of characters appeared, causing the little contraption to become dejected. Can you help me get back? If so, I might be able to help you complete those missions. The system rubbed its small hands, hesitating to speak. Only the main system can do that, but the main system is currently offline, so I'm not certain. However, it should be contactable after the missions are completed. I'll do my best to help you. Before its words had even finished, the system quickly issued a mission. Mission issued: rescue the besieged female lead and present her with a heaven-tier cultivation technique. It was only on the way to rescue the female lead that I realized the system wanted me to play the role of a villain, not only teaching the female lead, but also providing the male lead with all sorts of equipment. Finally, I was jointly killed by the couple. At this point, the mission was complete, and I was sent back to Blue Star. However, a deviation occurred, which led to the current outcome. At that time, I didn't know if it was my playful nature acting up or what, but I suddenly thought of taking the female lead under my wing. I could teach her, raise her, and become her white moonlight. I wanted her to love me hopelessly, and then I'd see if she would still end up with the male lead. If I still couldn't stop it, then I would kill both of them, charge to the 9 heavens again, and find another way to return. That wouldn't be impossible. In the blink of an eye, the system and I arrived at a forest path. Looking towards the main road, not far away, Qin Shiu lay on the ground, covered in wounds and dressed in rags. Not far away, several men in black robes were slowly approaching her, weapons in hand. "Young miss, you should stop resisting. This is the second Mrs. Order. Brothers, we'll give you a quick death, so we can go back and report the completion of our mission." Before the leader could finish speaking, a man beside him suddenly reached out and stopped him. "Big brother, I see this little girl is quite delicate. Wouldn't it be a shame to kill her like this? Why don't we let the brothers have some fun first? It's not too late to kill her afterward. Later, when we're out boasting, at least we can say we've slept with the Qin family's young miss." Hearing this, the other men moved aside, clearing a path. "Don't come any closer. Get lost." Qin Shiu picked up small stones beside her and resisted, but it had no effect whatsoever. "Can anyone save me? Someone, save me." The black-robed men stepped forward and tackled Qin Shiu to the ground, slowly tearing off her clothes. Helpless, Qin Shiu could only cry out loudly, hoping to seize a glimmer of hope for survival. A hero saving a beauty. I don't even need to arrange this scene myself. I muttered to myself, my figure appearing not far from the road. The black-robed men sensed my presence and immediately stopped what they were doing. They raised the blades in their hands, watching me slowly approach. "Who goes there? State your name. If you know what's good for you, get lost. Don't ruin young master's fun." Before they could finish speaking, I drew the sword from my waist and instantly beheaded all of them. I don't like taking detours. On the way here, I deliberately tore my clothes and created scars on my body, disguising myself as someone who had just survived a major battle. "Young master! Young master!" I ignored Qin Shiu's calls from behind me, pretending to be aloof. But before I had even taken 2 steps, my legs gave out, and I feigned to faint. Qin Shiu's anxious voice reached my ears. "Young master! Young master! Mission complete. Reward issued. 9 revolutions, soul revival pill." The system's voice rang in my ear. During the time I was pretending to be unconscious, I released my spiritual power and instructed Old 8 to pay close attention to those applying to join the 9 Heavens sect recently. Among them, surnames like Xiao, Lin, Shi, and Gu should receive extra attention. I didn't finish my sentence, sitting up and seeing Qin Shiu beside me. Not far away, a bonfire crackled. Seeing me awaken, Qin Shiu quickly rushed to my side. "Young master is still severely injured. It's best not to exert yourself too much." Looking at the cloth wrapped around my chest and Qin Shiu's thinly clad body, I understood that this girl had torn her own clothes to use as bandages for me. "This is my token. If you ever need anything, you can come to the 9 Heavens sect to find me." With that, I pretended to struggle to stand, and Qin Shiu reached out to help me up. Before I could leave, Qin Shiu knelt before me with a thud. I begged the young master for forgiveness. "Shiu has an immodest request." "Speak," I said. Qin Shiyu then recounted her story. Her father had gone out on a mission, and she had accidentally awakened a Dao bone. When her stepmother found out, she had people tie her up, dig out the bones from her body, and cripple her cultivation. She also murdered her long-ill mother. When I heard about the experience of having her bones dug out, I couldn't help but gasp. Good heavens, isn't this exactly like the Wang Tendi Desolate Heaven Emperor template? If young master helps me avenge this, I am willing to be your slave for life. I did not agree to Qin Shiyu's request, merely looking at her coldly. Some things must be accomplished with your own hands. 3 days from now, the Nine Heavens sect will be recruiting disciples. If you can climb the 90-step immortal staircase by then, I will take you as my disciple. Qin Shiyu kowtowed repeatedly upon hearing my words, while I turned and left without looking back. The sect's disciple recruitment assembly was imminent. The past 2 days since returning to the sect have been quite leisurely for me. Lying on the lounge chair, a slightly warm breeze caressed my cheek, stirring the willows behind me into a rustle. For a moment, it was quite a pleasant sensation. Lu Chuan, you seem quite idle, young man. Hearing my master's voice, I quickly opened my eyes, stood up, and gave a wry smile. Master, what are you saying? Even during cultivation, one needs to balance work and rest. Master glared at me impatiently, walked over, and plopped down onto my lounge chair. A contented expression appeared on the old man's face as he waved a hand at me. Tomorrow is the sect's recruitment. You and I, your master, should go and take a look. As the holy son of the sect, spending all day without stepping out of the gates. What kind of behavior is that? I nodded repeatedly in agreement. Also, in a while, there's the sect grand competition. You should prepare well for that too. Don't spend all day living like a wandering cloud and wild crane. With your cultivation, if you can't win first place in the sect grand competition, I, your master, will hold you to account. No need for further words. Before master could finish speaking, I unlocked another layer of the shackles on my body. In an instant, my cultivation at the nascent soul initial stage burst forth from me. Even master, who was sitting on the lounge chair, suddenly stood up and looked at me with a shocked expression. You've broken through already? There are 8 elders in the sect, and the highest cultivation of these elders is merely the initial stage of the soul transformation realm. Most of them are at the middle or late stages of the nascent soul realm. And which one of them isn't an old monster who has lived for hundreds, even nearly 1,000 years? In contrast, I in my early 20s had already displayed cultivation at the initial stage of the nascent soul realm. To put it bluntly, it wouldn't be an exaggeration if I were to go out and establish my own sect right now. Master suppressed the smile that was about to overflow from his face and feigned composure. Cough, cough. Xiao Chuan, although with your current cultivation, you are sufficient to suppress an entire generation of prodigies, you absolutely must not become arrogant and complacent. Regarding the matter of taking disciples that I, your master, mentioned, you should give it more thought. And your marriage. Before master could finish speaking, I quickly interrupted him. This old man had wanted me to marry the princess of the Great Flame Dynasty for a long time. But as a decent young man who transmigrated from the 21st century, I still advocate for free love and don't want to get involved in this political marriage business. The next day, the sect's recruitment ceremony began. All 12 inner disciples of the Nine Heavens sect, regardless of where they were, rushed back. Including thousands of outer sect disciples, the entire plaza was bustling with people. The sect recruits disciples once every 4 years. Anyone who takes the top spot has the opportunity to directly become an inner sect disciple, training under one of the 8 elders. The disciple who claims the top spot this year can become the chief disciple under Lu Chuan, the sect's holy son. As soon as the sect master finished speaking, the disciples below erupted in an uproar. As an inner sect disciple, training under other elders grants high seniority, but no other particular benefits. Everyone knows that I am the sect's holy son, and furthermore, the foremost cultivator among the younger generation of the Xianmen, Mystic Gate. I wouldn't dare say there will be no successors, but in the sect's tens of thousands of years, no one of my age has ever reached such a level of cultivation. It is truly unprecedented. Moreover, when the sect master eventually abdicates, the position of sect master will naturally fall to me. To become my chief disciple, their status would undoubtedly rise dramatically at that time. Furthermore, if they can receive my guidance, their cultivation will surely advance by leaps and bounds. I transformed into a figure and landed swiftly on the ground. I had the bearing of an immortal, refined and gentle as jade. All the disciples in the sect turned their gaze towards me. The sect's immortal ladder assessment for recruitment begins now. At my command, everyone surged towards the immortal ladder with full confidence. According to legend, the sect's immortal ladder was left behind by a righteous old patriarch before he ascended to immortality. The height one climbs on this immortal ladder is directly proportional to their innate talent. The immortal ladder has 220 steps, and before my arrival, the highest record was the 150 steps set by the sect master in his youth. The sect master, like me, became the sect's holy son at the tender age of 20. He entered the nascent soul stage at 70, and the soul transformation stage at 200. He traversed the void return stage, and now, at 330 years old, he is already half a step into tribulation transcendence. And he was also universally acknowledged as the foremost expert in the entire Xianmen. Until my arrival, not only did I successfully complete all the immortal ladder steps, but my cultivation was also described as that of a true prodigy. This might sound like I'm showing off, but I really want to say it. They already consider it monstrous for someone to reach the golden core stage at 20. If they knew my true power could not only lead to righteous ascension, but also allow me to slay the heavenly emperor in one blow, they would surely be scared to death. Look, someone's reached 40 steps. A disciple below exclaimed in surprise, and I turned to look at the burning incense stick beside me. In merely half a quarter of an hour, someone has already met the recruitment criteria for outer sect disciples. It seems this batch of disciples possesses extraordinary potential. The 40th step is the minimum standard for sect recruitment. Passing it grants qualification to enter the outer sect. Passing the 80th step, even if not the champion, carries a high probability of being accepted as a disciple by an elder. The heroes of the world are nothing more than that. Those who can cross the 80th step are already preeminent figures among men, and the 100th step is exceedingly rare. With each layer of the celestial stairway, one passes, the pressure felt on the body doubles. 60 steps. He's still going. Following the direction of the disciple's finger, I saw a disciple in dark robes at the forefront. That person moved with lightning speed, not pausing for even a moment along the way. Upon seeing this, Old 8 leaned close to me and whispered, "Senior brother, that's the Xiao Feiyu I told you about. 5 years ago, he lost all his cultivation, and then his fiancée came to break off their engagement. The two of them made a 3-year pact. 2 years ago, not only did his cultivation recover, but he easily triumphed over any challenge. A broken engagement trope? Interesting." My gaze swept over Xiao Feiyu. If I'm not mistaken, this must be the protagonist the system mentioned. My gaze then slowly shifted backward, soon landing on Qin Shiyu's small figure. She was climbing upwards, step by heavy step. Her spiritual bone had already been extracted, her cultivation dispersed, and on top of that, she had been living rough, constantly exposed to the elements. Her body could no longer bear it. When she crossed the 40th step, she could barely stand steady and almost fainted. "Is this as far as I go?" Through the token, I heard the little last Qin Shiyu's murmuring voice. Immediately, a trace of spiritual energy gathered at my fingertips, and the token she carried emitted a faint yellow light. The pressure that had originally poured down on her like a waterfall suddenly weakened considerably. Qin Shiyu lowered her head, noticed the anomaly, then turned to look at the high platform in the square, meeting my gaze. She then turned to look at the token at her waist. Seeing it emit a faint light, she immediately realized I was helping her. Since young master helps me so much, how can I simply resign myself to fate? With that, she once again stepped towards the 90th step of the celestial stairway. Someone's on the 90th step. Xiao Feiyu no longer had his previous momentum, but his steps remained unceasing. This child is still climbing. It seems he might reach the 100th step of the immortal stairway. Upon seeing this, the elders beside me all rose, rubbing their hands together eagerly, all wanting to rush forward and take him as a disciple. 100, 110, 120. Xiao Feiyu's steps had not yet stopped. Everyone present had their gaze fixed intently upon him. On the contrary, I wore an expression of complete indifference. A sect assessment. This kind of scene was certainly the protagonist's moment to show off. Xiao Feiyu would definitely break the record master set back then. If not for my existence, he would truly be the #1 person in this profound sect in the future. How could I let you have your way? With that, my right hand, hidden in my sleeve, subtly formed a hand seal and chanted a spell. The oppressive aura on Xiao Feiyu's body suddenly surged, nearly pushing him straight off the immortal stairway. To put it plainly, the immortal stairway was merely a low-grade Dao artifact. As an immortal emperor, even if I tampered with it a little, no one would notice. Detected host, persecuting child of destiny. Preparing to intervene. System, if you don't want to live, then try to intervene. Within my sea of consciousness, I issued a warning to the system. The alarm in my ear ceased abruptly. Host's mission to temper the male leads resolve complete. Reward, Grand Dao Physique. Upon hearing this, the corners of my mouth involuntarily curved upwards. Indeed, might makes right. The assessment concluded, and Xiao Feiyu secured the top spot. With a score of 145 steps, he dominated the competition, nearly breaking Master's record. By the time Qin Shiyu reached the 80th step, she could no longer hold on. For the last 10 steps, one could say she used all 4 limbs, practically crawling her way up. She had countless large and small injuries all over her body. Just her ribs, 4 of them were fractured by the oppressive aura. The sect recruitment concluded, and each of the martial uncles chose their favored disciple. Only I remained seated on the high platform, not moving an inch. Naturally, many elders extended olive branches to Xiao Feiyu, but he rejected them all, one by one. I could feel his ardent gaze. Also waiting with him was Qin Shiyu. Master saw me unmoving for a long time and lightly coughed twice to remind me. Seeing this, I rose and went to Xiao Feiyu's side, pulling out the jade pendant I had long prepared for my robes. From today onwards, you are my direct disciple, Lu Chinchuan's. Your disciple greets Master. Xiao Feiyu, hearing this, repeatedly kowtowed to me, the joy on his face impossible to conceal. Qin Shirain, who was nearby, seeing this, felt a little disappointed. I ignored the uproar among the crowd and walked straight towards Qin Shirain. All the disciples, upon seeing this, first fell silent, then chattering sounds resumed. The Holy Son isn't really going to take this person as a direct disciple, is he? Impossible. Even though she reached the 90th step in terms of aptitude, there are plenty of people more outstanding than her. The Holy Son didn't choose so many others. To choose her is quite unlikely. I once again took a jade pendant from my bosom. The jade pendant emitted a faint yellow light, its entire body emerald green, and it looked much more exquisite than the jade pendant I gave Xiao Feiyu. From today onwards, Qin Shirain is my second direct disciple. As soon as these words were spoken, everyone present erupted in an uproar. Even Master couldn't understand why I did this. As I spoke, I handed the jade pendant to Qin Shirain. She first stared blankly for 2 or 3 minutes, then a blush appeared on her face, and, after taking the jade pendant, she kowtowed repeatedly. Your disciple Qin Shirain greets Master. After accepting disciples, the sect should have held a master-disciple ceremony. But I was truly exhausted, so I simply informed Master and took Xiao Feiyu and Qin Shirain to the peak. From now on, Xiao Feiyu is your senior brother. As a junior sister, you must respect your senior brother. And you, Xiao Feiyu, you must also cherish your junior sister. Hearing this, the two of them answered in unison, "Yes, master." I first took the two of them to the scripture repository. The cultivation techniques here were varied, just imperial tier cultivation techniques numbered in the hundreds. Here are the Heartless Sword, Soul-Shattering Palm, 7-Kill Fist. I introduced them to the two while speaking. Qin Shirain, hearing this, murmured softly, "Senior brother, since when did imperial tier cultivation techniques become so worthless? Isn't the rumor outside that only top-tier sects might possess one? The emergence of each one would draw countless sects and ancient sacred lands to vie for it. Master, why are there so many here?" Xiao Feiyu wasn't sure either. All he knew right now was that his master was an absolute tycoon through and through. But as the senior disciple brother, he couldn't possibly say he didn't know. So he could only suppress the panic in his heart, feigning composure as he said, "Junior sister, you wouldn't understand this. Our master's talent is unrivaled through all of history. No one before him, no one after him. A few more emperor-grade cultivation techniques are nothing out of the ordinary." Qin Shiyu was so shocked her mouth couldn't close. "How is this just a few more? You two take a look. If there's anything you like, I, your master, will teach it to you. Of course, there's one condition. If others ask, just say you obtained them by chance in an outdoor mystic realm. You are not to say, 'I gave them to you.' I certainly wouldn't dare let those people in the sect know. Even a top-tier sect like the Nine Heavens sect only has 4 emperor-grade cultivation techniques, and they're only mid-grade emperor tier. Any random one I pull out from here would be a high-grade emperor tier technique, some even supreme grade. If my master found out, he definitely wouldn't spare me. Everything would be exposed then." Just thinking about my carefree days about to leave me sent a cold sweat down my back. "Master, I choose the Heartless Sword." Without waiting for Qin Shiyu to speak, Xiao Feiyu interrupted first. Hearing this, I was also quite puzzled. This isn't right. According to the plot development, Xiao Feiyu should have chosen the Setting Sun record. Although the Setting Sun record is only mid-grade emperor tier, it's just an incomplete volume. If it could be completed, its inherent power could reach immortal grade. Back then, after the sect's grand ceremony, my master gave me the sect's secret techniques and told me to personally impart them. To prevent the plot from deviating, I even specifically brought the cultivation manual here. Now, why would this kid choose the Heartless Sword? The Heartless Sword cultivates the path of heartlessness. Among the 3,000 great Tao, only the path of heartlessness is the most difficult to cultivate. The ultimate foundation requires achieving a form that resembles formlessness, and only with emotions in one's heart can true mastery be achieved. Are you sure? As far as I know, everyone who cultivates the path of heartlessness eventually becomes plagued by emotions, and in the end, none of them come to a good end. Of course, there are exceptions, and that would be me. The path of ruthlessness doesn't emphasize disregarding emotions. It emphasizes benevolent love for all living beings. It is because of love that one lets go. Simply put, it's a self-destructive inclination, a fondness for the mindset of unfulfilled love. It is precisely because of this that the path of ruthlessness is one of the few among the 3,000 great Taos that I have not cultivated to grand perfection. I'm certain, Master. I took the cultivation manual down from the library pavilion. Because it hadn't been touched for a long time, a layer of dust had settled on it. I blew on it with my mouth, while my 2 disciples looked at me with expressions of disbelief. Then I choose the 9 nether falling affection art. Cultivating this technique requires a heart full of emotion. After cultivating it for all eternity, one can only love a single person exclusively. As I spoke, I took out the cultivation manual and handed it to Qin Shiyu. These 2 disciples are quite peculiar, choosing 2 cultivation techniques that I have never mastered. After all, after crossing over to this world for so many years, I've never truly cared much for any woman. As for love, perhaps there was a little, but for me, it was insignificant. You two are quite interesting, one with a heart full of emotion, the other with a heart devoid of emotion. As I spoke, I rummaged through my storage bag. There were over 1,000 Emperor weapons and tens of thousands of immortal weapons in the bag. But these things are beyond the control of two people, not to mention the two of them. Even if the old ancestor of Nine Heavens sect came, they wouldn't dare claim to be able to wield an Emperor weapon with 100% certainty. After a long while, I pulled out two of the lowest quality. This is the blazing roaming sword, Emperor tier mid-grade. Feiyu, you take this. And this is the 8 treasures, 9 aperture spear, also Emperor tier mid-grade. This one is Shiyu's. As I spoke, I placed restrictions on both weapons. Your current cultivation is insufficient. Even if you fully activated them, you couldn't unleash even 10% of an Emperor weapon's power. And there's a risk of backlash causing sudden death. I, your master, have placed restrictions on the Emperor weapons. As your strength increases, the restrictions will gradually loosen. The two of them looked at the Emperor weapons floating in mid-air, shocked to the point of disbelief. Legends say that when an Emperor weapon appears, corpses litter the wilderness. The appearance of every Emperor weapon would trigger countless sects to contend for it, leading to an endless succession of battles, big and small. Apart from a Nine Heavens sect having one Emperor weapon, currently, only 4 controlled by the 4 great dynasties. Unless it was a crisis threatening the sect or the dynasty, no one was allowed to privately deploy an Emperor weapon. Such treasures and master just gave them away, just like that, and even 2 of them. All right, you two stop staring blankly. Your master is a bit weary. You two go and study the cultivation methods on your own for now. Tomorrow at noon, your master will give you a lesson. Before leaving, I also assigned other tasks to Qin Shiyu and Xiao Feiyu. The hidden scripture pavilion on the peak hadn't been cleaned in years, and there was also the herb garden in the back, and the flower garden and pond in the front. Now that the two of them were here on the peak, I finally had some help. However, I was now more curious about what happened to Xiao Feiyu. In the original novel, Xiao Feiyu was supposed to have a powerful being hidden in a ring near him. Ever since he arrived at the peak, I had probed Xiao Feiyu with my divine sense countless times, but I just couldn't find any trace of that powerful being. Currently, I am the only immortal emperor in the world, an existence that transcends the heavenly Tao. Logically speaking, it should be impossible for someone to hide right under my nose. Unless that person is dead. I found it a bit hard to believe my own suspicion. But now, it seemed this was the only possibility left. At night, I sent a sound transmission for Xiao Feiyu to come to the back mountain. At the edge of the cliff, I overlooked the sect's scenery. The bright moon hung in the sky, adding a unique charm. Your disciple greets Master. I wonder why Master summoned your disciple to come so late at night. I wasn't in a hurry to speak. I turned around and scrutinized Xiao Feiyu from head to toe. Xiao Feiyu, the sole son of the Xiao family head. Rumor has it that at 7 years old, he underwent body tempering, and at 12 he refined qi. He was a once-in-a-century genius within the family. 3 years ago, he was half a step into the subtle realm, and everyone thought that with such a Qilin child, the Xiao family would soar to great heights. But who would have thought that this Qilin child would lose all his cultivation and become a cripple? Afterwards, I recounted his engagement to his fiancée, his return to cultivation, and how he learned alchemy, one by one. I could see Xiao Feiyu's face filled with terror, cold sweat beading on his forehead. Everyone says the Qilin child was reborn from the ashes. But what they don't know is the Qilin child actually received guidance from the remnant soul of a powerful being. Before I finished speaking, Xiao Feiyu plopped down onto the ground and repeatedly kowtowed. I beg Master for forgiveness. Your disciple did not intentionally conceal this from Master. Seeing this, I casually waved my hand. It doesn't matter. I'm just curious why I can't sense that so-called powerful being at all. The moment these words left his mouth, the atmosphere instantly fell silent. Xiao Fei Yu, and I remained unspoken for a long while. It was as if he had made a momentous decision in his heart. Then he spoke to me. Master, I killed that old man. What? Xiao Fei Yu's words shocked me so much that my mouth hung open. What do you mean, killed? This isn't how the story is supposed to unfold, is it? I saw Xiao Fei Yu clench his fists, his face ashen, as he continued to speak. If it weren't for him, how could I have lost all my cultivation for 3 years? Had I not lost my cultivation, the other party wouldn't have come to break off the engagement, and Mother wouldn't have been so devastated that she fell into a coma. Father wouldn't have been treated with such disdain for 3 years. I know perfectly well how much pressure my parents have endured for me over the years. Upon hearing this, a ripple stirred in my heart. I wanted to offer words of comfort, but I didn't know where to begin. Xiao Fei Yu was right. His innate talent was not poor. Even if that great cultivator hadn't appeared, he would definitely have been chosen by another sect. I wouldn't dare say how high his future achievements would be, but they certainly wouldn't be low. It's all right. From now on, you will diligently cultivate with me, your master. Whatever that great cultivator promised, I, your master, can also give you. I stepped forward and patted Xiao Fei Yu's shoulder, murmuring softly. In that instant, my state of mind seemed to have changed. Xiao Fei Yu seemed to understand my words, and repeatedly kowtowed to me. As the days went by, with these 2 little ones on the peak, it became much livelier, and I, just as my master had hoped, gradually began to become busy. Xiao Fei Yu was doing well. His innate talent was not low to begin with, especially with my guidance. He was exceptionally outstanding, whether in alchemy or swordsmanship. Only Qin Shiyu gave me a bit of a headache. I integrated the great Tao physique that the system had initially given me into her body, and the situation indeed changed. Master, Master, I made you peach blossom soup. Master, Master, there's something here I don't quite understand. Master, you should drink less wine. It's not good for your health. This girl chattered around me all day long, and I seemed to gradually get used to her chatter. As for Xiao Fei Yu, he was also extremely fond of his junior sister. Time flew by like a spurred stallion. Days and months flowed past like falling blossoms and flowing water. Decades passed in the blink of an eye. I had originally thought a mutual affection would develop between the 2 of them, which would be a good choice for both. However, during the time we spent together, I had long since abandoned that original idea. But who would have thought that until Qin Shiyu had an accident during an outing, everything would develop in a different direction? Master, Master, Junior's sister is in trouble. That day, I was still asleep in my room when Xiao Fei Yu frantically pushed the door open and rushed in. Huh? What's wrong? I was still a bit hazy. Xiao Fei Yu dragged me, urging me to get up. Hurriedly putting on my clothes, Xiao Fei Yu and I transformed into streaks of divine light and appeared together in the main hall. I saw that the elders were all gathered in the hall, their faces tense with worry. What's wrong? I approached, somewhat bewildered, and when the crowd saw me, they quickly parted, clearing a path. There, Qin Shiyu lay on the ground, with the 4 elders of the peak treating her. Blood had stained Qin Shiyu's white robes crimson, and there were dozens of wounds all over her body. The most horrifying was a wound on her chest, stretching from her shoulder across to her hip. Faintly, I seemed to glimpse white bone at the little one's shoulder. Who was it? I asked, my face grim, my voice low. The rage suffocating in my chest made my hands tremble uncontrollably. We don't know. Master said, seeing my state, knowing that this time, the perpetrator had truly incurred my wrath. Shiyu collapsed outside the sect, and it was an outer sect disciple who found and brought her back. I pulled out a 9-reversal, soul-returning pill from my storage bag. This was a 7th grade pill. As long as a person still drew a single breath, it could save them. As Qin Shiyu swallowed the pill, her wounds healed at a speed visible to the naked eye. Master. Qin Shiyu's eyes fluttered open, and tears involuntarily streamed from the corners of her eyes. I stepped forward and pulled her into my embrace. Tell your master, who hurt you? As I spoke, A powerful aura suddenly burst forth from my body, even though I immediately realized it was inappropriate and tried my best to suppress my aura. Master and the others still sense my aura reaching the peak of soul transformation realm. Xin Chuan, when did you break through to soul transformation? I remained silent, flying out with Qin Shiyu in my arms, while Xiao Feiyu followed behind me. Qin Shiyu buried her head in my arms and wept bitterly, sobbing as she recounted what had happened. Earlier today, she had received a sect mission to descend the mountain and eradicate demonic beasts. But unexpectedly, upon entering the mountain, she encountered members of the Qin family, who recognized Qin Shiyu's identity. Qin Shiyu was already at the golden core stage of cultivation, so they were naturally no match for her. Yet unexpectedly, the Qin family members actually colluded with the royal family of the Great Yin dynasty to attack her together. The Qin family wanted to exterminate her, while the Great Yin royal family coveted Shiyu's grand Dao physique. Fortunately, Qin Shiyu managed to flee all the way, thus saving her life. Master, I'm all right. Please don't be angry. Qin Shiyu in my arms, seeing my grim face and prolonged silence, felt a little flustered. I grabbed Xiao Feiyu and suddenly accelerated. A journey that originally required 6 shurchen, 12 hours, was forcibly shortened by me to 5 minutes. Arriving outside the gates of the Great Yin dynasty, I handed Qin Shiyu from my arms to Xiao Feiyu. Take good care of junior sister, and follow behind me. Xiao Feiyu clenched his fists, his expression furious. Master, I can fight too. I want to kill those blind fools and avenge junior sister. Just watch me, your master, take action. Today, I will teach you all a lesson. Xiao Feiyu took Qin Shiyu from my hands, feeling a little perplexed. What lesson, master? When dealing with enemies, you must exterminate them completely. Before my words had even fallen, I gathered my spiritual energy and abruptly slammed a palm strike towards the Great Yin dynasty. Fortune's imprisoning heaven palm. Immediately, the originally clear sky suddenly became covered with dark clouds, and a palm approximately several thousand kilometers wide, enveloped in violent gales, descended from the sky. Inside the imperial city, everyone who witnessed this scene was initially curious. When the violent gales were hundreds of zhang away from them, pressing them breathless, everyone's faces held nothing but despair. Before the palm could even land, hundreds of divine rainbows flew out from the city. They all attacked together to resist the heaven-imprisoning palm. This was merely like a mantis trying to stop a chariot. As the palm descended, half of the Great Yin dynasty's vast territory was directly obliterated by my strike. Across the nation, hundreds of thousands were dead or injured. The sturdy city was shattered into pieces by my palm strike. Wails and cries immediately resounded all around. Bringing Xiao Feiyu, I arrived above the city and called out to those below. Qin family and the royal family, this venerable one gives you 3 breaths to appear. Otherwise, I will immediately send you to your graves. Before I had finished speaking, dozens of divine light streaks appeared before me. Everyone had varying degrees of injury all over their bodies. May I ask your esteemed name, Senior? Why do you attack our Great Yin dynasty? This venerable one never changes his name when he walks, nor his surname when he sits. Lu Qinchuan. Upon hearing this, the several leaders showed a hint of joy on their faces. I didn't understand what they meant by this. Saint Sun, by harming the people of our dynasty, what is your intention? The speaker was none other than the current emperor of the Great Yin dynasty, Zhao Wuji. Your royal family colluded with members of the Qin family to harm my disciple. This venerable one is here today to settle accounts with you. Upon hearing this, Zhao Wuji looked at a junior behind him, who was trembling in fear from my aura and lowered his head, remaining silent. Your Highness Saint Sun, I beg you, in consideration of my young son's tender age, do not dwell too much on it. As for the Qin family members, I will certainly give you a satisfactory account. Of course, This is also hoping you will show consideration for my imperial sister's sake." Before he had finished speaking, dozens of divine light streaks were seen flying from not far away again. The newcomers were none other than Zhao Yueshuang, who had once wanted to become my Dao companion, and the four guardian kings of the great Yin dynasty. I did not rush to reply, turning instead to look at Qin Shiyu, whose injuries had mostly healed. "Shiyu, some grudges must be avenged with your own hands." I unleashed my divine sense, sweeping across the entire great Yin dynasty, and captured everyone with the same bloodline as Shiyu, seizing them all through the air. In an instant, dozens of people appeared before Qin Shiyu. The moment everyone saw Qin Shiyu, they all cried out for mercy. "Shiyu, I'm your eldest uncle. Are you really going to kill me? Shiyu, I'm your second aunt. Back in the clan, your second aunt cherished you the most. Have you forgotten?" Qin Shiyu's face was ashen. She drew out the 8 treasures 9-orifice spear and slowly walked towards the crowd. "This spear strike is for my father. This spear strike is for my mother. This one's for me." With each stab, a measure of relief spread across Qin Shiyu's face. In the blink of an eye, dozens of figures plummeted from the sky, their bodies utterly devoid of life. Replying to Master, "My cousin who stole my supreme bone back then is not in the clan." "Oh, do you know?" Before I could finish my sentence, Zhao Yueshuang, who was not far off, spoke up first to answer. "The person is in the Azure Dragon Sacred Land." Hearing this, I nodded slightly. I had originally thought coming here today would completely resolve things, but now it seems I'll have to make another trip to the Azure Dragon Secret Realm. However, before that, I must first resolve the matters of the great Yin dynasty. Now that the Qin family's perfected one is dead, who's next? As I spoke, I walked towards Zhao Wuji's son. Seeing this, Zhao Wuji's earlier geniality vanished. He abruptly rushed in front of me and blocked me. Before I could speak, Zhao Wuji launched a series of attacks. Seeing this, I retreated a few steps, then brushed off the dust from my clothes. "Saint's son, show mercy when you can. You should know, even your master has to show me some deference when he sees me." Hearing this, I couldn't help but smile. "Oh, why? If master is willing to show deference, that's his business. What does it have to do with me?" Before I could finish speaking, Zhao Wuji's body erupted with cultivation at the peak of the nascent soul realm. Behind him, the 4 great king protectors also erupted with the oppressive aura of the soul transformation realm. "I know you're a genius, but that strike of yours just now probably also mobilized the power of your ancestor, didn't it? How many times can you use such an attack? My great Yin dynasty has hundreds of thousands of armored guards, and the 4 great king protectors are all at the peak of the soul transformation realm. If we truly come to blows, only your 9 heavens sect will perish." No wonder Zhao Wuji was looking at me with such eyes. It turns out I had underestimated him. Since His Majesty has spoken, Zhao Wuji thought I would give up then and there, a look of triumph appearing on his face. "Then I'll let His Majesty see my strength." Before my words had even fallen, I released the shackles on my body. My cultivation continuously soared, and in just a few dozen breaths, it had already crossed the soul transformation realm and reached the tribulation transcension realm. Everyone present, seeing this, was utterly dumbfounded. The immense pressure of the tribulation transcension realm caused the surrounding air to begin trembling. Waves of buzzing sounds emanated from the void. My figure slowly floated upwards, and I softly murmured, "Creation's sky-imprisoning palm." Palms the size of the one before reappeared, but this time not 1, but 3. With this strike, let alone the complete annihilation of the great Yin dynasty's territory, even millions of kilometers of surrounding land would probably become barren. Lu Chunchuan, holy son of the 9 heavens sect, invites your majesty to meet your demise. Before I could make a move, a sharp sword suddenly pierced through Zhao Wuji's chest. Looking closely, the one who wielded the sword was none other than Zhao Yueshuang. Her face bore a hint of panic, mixed with a touch of resolve. Immediately after, in the next second, Zhao Wuji's son also had his head severed by her. She knelt on both knees. Chen Chuan, I beg you to remember our past connection and spare the tens of millions of people of my great Yin imperial family. Hearing this, I cast a spell to dispel the giant palms in the sky, slowly descending before Zhao Yueshuan. You are quite ruthless in your actions. Those were your own brother and nephew. They harmed your disciple. They deserve to die. I remained silent, looking at the several guardian kings behind Zhao Yueshuan. At this moment, they no longer possessed their usual arrogance. All four were already trembling with fear. In an instant, my figure flickered, appearing behind the four of them, and in my right hand were four heads. Today, for your sake, I will let this matter rest. If there is a next time, not a single soul will remain in the great Yin dynasty. With those words, I took Shiyu and Feiyu to the Azure Dragon's sacred land. Along the way, Qin Shiyu and Xiao Feiyu remained silent. I could feel immense waves surging in their hearts. After all, today I had displayed my tribulation transcending stage cultivation right before their eyes. Feiyu, your contest with that little girl from Wind Thunder Sacred Land. That's coming up soon, isn't it? Replying, Master, there's still 5 days left. During the time, Xiao Feiyu has been by my side. He has been diligent and conscientious. I could feel his hard work. Now, coupled with my teachings, this fellow's strength has long skyrocketed. His cultivation, even among many holy sons, is unmatched. Not to mention that Xiao Feiyu cultivates the path of oblivion, a path that inherently allows one to fight across cultivation stages. This path is also one of the few idealistic paths. Imagine, you are locked in a fierce battle with an enemy, neck and neck, and just as you are about to secure victory, the opponent suddenly covers their face and weeps, continuously muttering to themselves. I understand everything. In an instant, my cultivation advanced by leaps and bounds, and an endless sword intent erupted from my entire body. Once your junior sister's matter is resolved, I, your master, will accompany you on a trip. Accompanying Xiao Feiyu wasn't to help the kid get revenge. It was purely out of fear that the opposing sect might pull some dirty tricks. Moreover, according to the story template, Xiao Feiyu is the protagonist, so he must personally take revenge. But in the cultivation world, it's always strike the young. Here comes the old. Now that I'm here, even if the ancient ancestor of the Wind Thunder Sacred Land from tens of thousands of years ago awakens, there's nothing to fear. In the blink of an eye, we arrived at the Azure Dragon Sacred Land. Around us, immortal energy was abundant. The mountains were green and waters clear, and numerous cranes flew above countless peaks. 7-colored golden light coiled around the ancestral peak of the sacred land, giving off a profoundly divine feeling. Master, let your disciple lead the charge. Qin Shiyu said, about to step forward and attack the barrier. I reached out and stopped her. Qin Shiyu's attack wouldn't break the barrier, but it would certainly alert the enemy, and then it would just lead to various arguments and disputes. But such a method is certainly not my Lu Chinchuan's style. Shiyu, you just stay behind your master and watch. As I spoke, my eyes shifted, and a terrifying aura erupted from my body once more. Immortal Path Killing Move, 9 Dragons Azure Thunder. The originally clear sky suddenly became overcast, and countless lightning bolts fell as densely as raindrops, striking the sacred land's barrier. The might of the thunder caused the surrounding air to tremble. The immortal energy above the mountains was also dispersed by this power, and wild beasts fled for hundreds of miles around, as if not fleeing meant instant annihilation. After just a few lightning tribulations, the barrier shattered, and the Azure Dragon's sacred land instantly turned into a living hell. Countless mighty cultivators in the sacred land collectively attacked to resist, and 4 or 5 emperor-level cultivation techniques shot out in unison. But these techniques struck the dark clouds in the sky, failing to cause even a ripple, until an ancient voice emanated from the ancestral land of the Azure Dragon Sacred Land. What mighty cultivator dares to run wild in my azure dragon sacred land? A seven-colored stream of light shot out from the ancestral land, its power sufficient to tear open the void, and only then did it neutralize my move. Immediately after, dozens of streaks of light appeared before me, led by none other than the current patriarch of the Azure Dragon Sacred Land, Chun Songsheng. I could clearly feel the other party's divine sense sweeping over my body. His pupils widened slightly, his face filled with disbelief, and his expression shifted from anger to shock. Little friend Shenchuan, I wonder what your intention is in attacking and harming my sacred land. I'm looking for someone. I couldn't be bothered to waste words with these old geezers. If it weren't for wanting Qin Shiyu to personally exact her revenge, I'd really conjure a few more immortal Dao-killing moves and obliterate the entire Azure Dragon land in an instant. The people from the Azure Dragon's sacred land exchanged glances upon hearing this. Who I was looking for was naturally self-evident. After all, the matter of me taking Qin Shiyu as a disciple was common knowledge throughout the entire cultivation world. It was just that they probably hadn't expected me to show up so brazenly. Young friend Shinchuan, I know why you've come here. Our sacred land has been largely destroyed by you. If you ask me, some things have already happened, so why not let them go? As the sacred land's patriarch spoke, he took out a few phoenix feathers from his storage bag. These are the seven-colored phoenix feathers our sacred land obtained by chance in a powerful being's secret realm. If one can refine them, they offer excellent assistance on the path of cultivation. How about we offer these as compensation to Qin Shiyu? What do you say? The seven-colored phoenix feathers were indeed rare, but to me, they were less than worthless. After all, during my time in the Nine Heavens, let alone phoenixes, even ancestral dragons had to meekly serve as my mounts. If I wanted to, let alone feathers, I could even procure their vital blood. Before I could open my mouth to refuse, a young and beautiful elder from the sacred land suddenly stepped forward and spoke. Patriarch, no. These are crucial items our ancestor uses for breakthrough. Lu Shanchuan is merely a junior. How can he be worthy of such a precious treasure? If you ask me, his tribulation-transcendent stage cultivation must have been boosted by an ancestral elder from his sect. It's merely temporary. If we attack him together, we might not lose. Hearing such an idiotic remark, I couldn't help but be speechless. Why are there so many idiots in the cultivation world? How is this any different from that moronic emperor of the great Yin dynasty? As the woman spoke, she looked towards me, her eyes sharp, as if she wanted to tear me to shreds. I couldn't be bothered to waste words either. A point of starlight gathered at my fingertip. Young friend Shinchuan. Before the patriarch could finish speaking, the starlight struck the female elder. Several tremors ran through space, and in an instant, the female elder's body turned into a mist of blood and vanished. I only gave you a dozen breaths of time. If I don't see Qin Mingwei again, not even a chicken or a dog will be left alive in this entire sacred land. Young friend Shinchuan, let's talk this over. 10. There must be some misunderstanding here. 9. Hearing my countdown, cold sweat couldn't help but break out on their foreheads. The female elder, just now, though not top tier in strength within the Holy Land, was at the peak of soul transformation. Such an upper middle level expert was instantly killed by a single flick of my finger. Seeing this, the Holy Land disciples dared not act rashly again. The numbers continued to count down. Panic appeared on the faces of all the Holy Land disciples. At such a critical juncture, a heaven-reaching divine rainbow suddenly burst forth from the ancestral land. In the sky, the heaven gate appeared. Seeing this, the Holy Land disciples were moved to tears. It's the old ancestor. The old ancestor has successfully broken through. We are saved. Immediately after, the ancient figure from the ancestral land reappeared. Young friend Shinchuan, why not come in for a chat? Hearing this, I, along with my two disciples, transformed into divine rainbows and flew towards the ancestral land. The rest of the Holy Land disciples followed closely behind us. I wasn't afraid of them playing tricks. After all, in the face of absolute power, all schemes, tricks, rules, and etiquette are nothing more than striking a rock with an egg. Not to mention that old ancestor Songlong had only just become an immortal. Even if he became an immortal, so what? Above this immortal palace, there are a full 9 heavens. Each heaven corresponds to a realm, and within each heaven, immortals are as numerous as carp in a pond. What's so special about that? Following the aura, I delved deep into Songlong's ancestral land. Passing through a swamp and crossing a river of magma, I met old ancestor Songlong. Beside the old ancestor, a young man sat cross-legged, bearing a 50% resemblance to Qin Shiyu. Indeed, this person was Qin Mingwei. He was taking advantage of the ancient dragon clan's ascension to immortality to comprehend the rules of heaven and earth, while also absorbing spiritual energy to aid his breakthrough. Seeing my arrival, the old man's eyes revealed a hint of benevolence. "Young friend, why don't you sit down and have a drink? We can discuss everything nicely." Old ancestor Songlong waved his hand, conjuring a pavilion out of thin air. "No need. I came today for one thing only, to take someone." Old ancestor Songlong chuckled, stroking his long beard, and spoke with a hint of persuasion. "Understand, young friend, you are naturally here to avenge your disciple. Now that the heaven gate is about to open, it's inconvenient for me to remain in the Holy Land for too long. If the two of us were to engage in a magical duel, it would surely bring about widespread devastation to all living things. Mingwei is about to become a saint child of our sacred land. In my opinion, why not let the two of them duel instead?" A magical duel. This old geezer truly had no shame. Qin Shiyu had just entered the nascent soul stage, her foundation still unstable. In contrast, Qin Mingwei was already showing faint signs of breaking through to the spirit transformation realm. They were an entire major realm apart. Fight? What kind of fight would that be? Just as I was about to open my mouth to refuse, Qin Shiyu suddenly tugged at my clothes. "Master, I want to compete." Hearing this, I sighed softly. "Junior sister, the opponent is about to break through to the spirit transformation stage, and might even comprehend the laws of heaven and earth. Furthermore, the opponent has dual pupils and your supreme bone. This move would undoubtedly be like striking a rock with an egg. You absolutely must not agree." Xiao Feiyu repeatedly spoke, trying to dissuade her. He knew well that even if he himself were to face Qin Mingwei, victory would be impossible, let alone for his junior sister. "System, give me the supreme bone." I called out to the system in my sea of consciousness. Ding! The system has detected that the host has completed a task, awarding 1 supreme bone. 1? I want 206. The atmosphere fell into a stalemate for a moment, and the system remained silent. "What the hell do you want so many supreme bones for?" "My disciple? How could she only have 1 supreme bone? If I'm going to replace them, I'll replace every single one in her entire body. Stop wasting time. Give them to me." I don't have them. I only have 1 here. I can't contact the main system, so I can't apply for more." Forget it. You really are a useless piece of trash. Just give it to me." I snatched the supreme bone the system gave me, then opened my storage bag and meticulously searched through it. Supreme bones. I recalled having quite a few of them. It's just that some parts were duplicates. I just didn't know if I could find a complete set. After about a quarter of an hour, I finally gathered a complete set. All right, if it's a competition, then let's compete, but they must sign a life-and-death contract. Xiao Feiyu didn't understand why I agreed, but he knew I must have my own intentions for doing so. "Shiyu, next your master is going to replace your bones. This process will be extremely painful." "It's all right, revered master. I can endure." Before I could finish speaking, Qin Shiyu interrupted. As I spoke, I threw a large handful of supreme bones onto the ground. Everyone present was dumbfounded at the sight. "Here are 206 supreme bones. Next, revered master will replace every single bone in your body. Also, revered master will fuse the 5 elements physique into you. After merging with the 5 elements physique, one can perceive the power of the five elements rules. Compared to the Grand Tao physique, it surpasses it rather than falling short. With the empowerment of these two sacred bodies, I refuse to believe we can't bridge the stubborn gap in cultivation levels. Everyone just watched as I pulled out one heavenly material and earthly treasure after another from my storage pouch. All of them were utterly dumbfounded. It was in that very instant that I sensed malice emanating from the surrounding air. This malice was exceptionally pure. Without hesitation, I waved my hand and directly dispersed the heavenly gate in the sky. The heavenly gate, dispersed. The Azure Dragon ancestor stared at the scene before him in shock. One must know that he had been diligently cultivating in seclusion for so many years, waiting precisely for this moment. Yet, who would have thought that the heavenly gate, which everyone yearned for day and night and dreamed of, would be scattered by a mere wave of my hand? Next, let us begin a little preparatory work. With that, I raise my hand and release my oppressive aura. In an instant, boundless pressure descended. Everyone in Azure Dragon Holy Land was forced to their knees by this pressure, unable to move even an inch. Chen Chuan, Senior, why is this? Before the clan leader could finish his sentence, he was crushed into a bloody mist by the pressure. Puff, puff, puff sounds rang out in quick succession. Everyone on Azure Dragon Mountain, with the exception of the Azure Dragon ancestor and Qin Mingyue, perished without exception. Chen Chuan, why are you doing this? The Azure Dragon ancestor's face was contorted with fury, but he dared not make a single move. All he could do was suppress the rage in his heart and loudly question me. Why should I, Lu Chuan, explain my actions to you? I gathered spiritual power into a single palm, and the Azure Dragon ancestor was sent flying by the forceful wind I unleashed, embedding heavily into the cliff face. Spitting out a mouthful of old blood, he finally realized the vast gap between us. It was at this moment that Qin Mingyue awoke. When she felt the oppressive aura erupting from my body and saw the miserable state of the Azure Dragon ancestor, she was too stunned for words. The moment her gaze converged on Qin Shiyu, I could clearly feel the jealousy and resentment emanating from her eyes. Time passed minute by minute, and it took a full 6 Shurchin, 12 hours, before I finally installed all the supreme bones in Qin Shiyu. A surge of immense life force erupted from her body. One must understand that if an ordinary person were to possess even a single supreme bone, their physical strength alone would be tens of times greater than that of others at the same cultivation realm. As long as they weren't subjected to life-threatening attacks, the supreme bone could rapidly heal their wounds. Naturally, it also contained the supreme Tao power inherent in the supreme bone. This was also why Qin Mingyue's mother was willing to go to any lengths to seize the bone. And now, Qin Shiyu possessed a full 206 supreme bones throughout her entire body. Her physical strength alone was enough to rival cultivators who specialized in body refining to achieve immortality. Furthermore, with a great Tao physique, she could automatically absorb the surrounding spiritual energy at all times. Qin Shiyu could now be said to be operating with a cheat for infinite health regeneration and infinite mana. I never make a bet without stakes. Old man, let's make a wager. The Azure Dragon ancestor, dragging his heavily injured body, came before me. At this moment, his gaze was filled with apprehension as he looked at me. Recalling the tone he had just used with me, he now felt like the Joker in a deck of cards. What talk of a duel endangering all living beings? He couldn't even withstand a single slap from me. What do you want to bet on? The Azure Dragon ancestor asked. Today, Qin Shiyu and Qin Mingyue will not only determine superiority, but also life and death. If Qin Shiyu wins, I will turn and leave, and will not trouble anyone in the Azure Dragon Sacred Land. If Qin Shiyu loses, then I demand everyone in your entire Azure Dragon Sacred Land to perish as a burial sacrifice for my disciple. Upon hearing my words, the Azure Dragon ancestor fell into a long silence. On one side was the sacred land's most promising disciple to become an immortal. On the other, the entire Azure Dragon's sacred land. Both sides were like flesh from his own hand. He felt pain for either outcome. But everything should be considered for the greater good. It was better for Qin Mingyue to die alone than for the entire Azure Dragon's sacred land to perish. The Azure Dragon ancestor's palm flickered with several faint, imperceptible black lights, filled with an aura of death potent enough to kill Qin Mingyue on the spot. He began to approach Qin Mingyue, inch by inch. Also, my disciple's revenge must be exacted by her own hands. No one is allowed to interfere, nor do I want Qin Mingyue to hold back. Before the words had even fallen, the Azure Dragon ancestor's palm, which had been brimming with death chi, instantly transformed from black to white. The moment his palm rested on Qin Mingyue, a surge of immense life force erupted from it. This life force converged on Qin Mingyue, causing her cultivation, originally at the peak nascent soul stage of the Great Tao, to completely break through to the soul transformation stage. Qin Shiyu nervously tightened her grip on the long spear. I stepped forward, patted her shoulder, and softly murmured, "It's all right. Just charge forward. Your master will handle everything." Qin Shiyu turned and tightly embraced me, burying her head in my chest. She then looked up at me, her gaze soft, the deep affection in her eyes almost overflowing. At that moment, I felt something was amiss, but I didn't dwell on it. Looking back now, that girl already harbored thoughts of rushing her master. Even then, the great battle between the two sides didn't last as long as expected. After several exchanges, Qin Shiyu plunged her spear into Qin Mingyue's chest. Qin Mingyue could have absolutely dodged that attack, but for some unknown reason, her opponent hesitated for a split second. Others might not have known, but I could clearly perceive that the old geezer, the Azure Dragon ancestor, had been manipulating things. Qin Shiyu had numerous wounds, big and small, on her body. She stood rooted, gazing at Qin Mingyue's corpse, an unusual feeling stirring within her heart. There was no joy, no hatred, and certainly no sense of relief. Instead, there was an indescribable sense of desolation. I stepped forward and placed my hand on Qin Shiyu's shoulder. She tilted her head and affectionately rubbed her cheek against the back of my hand. She looked exactly like a small cat. Immediately after, I took Xiao Feiyu and Qin Shiyu to the Nine Heavens sect. Soon after, the Azure Dragon Sacred Land issued a proclamation, stating that the entire sacred land would enter seclusion for 1,000 years and would no longer participate in any disputes in the cultivation world. My act of killing their sacred land's clan leader and elders had undoubtedly caused the Azure Dragon Sacred Land to bleed profusely. The sect's top fighting strength had all been obliterated. Aside from that ancestor who was on the verge of becoming an immortal, the sect's highest current fighting strength was merely at the nascent soul stage. If this news were to spread, who knows how many sects and sacred lands it would attract to invade. Therefore, publicly announcing their seclusion was the best choice. As for Xiao Feiyu, after returning to the sect, I naturally taught him everything I knew. After all, two disciples must be treated fairly, mustn't they? Moreover, his own talent was excellent, so he naturally claimed victory in the grand competition against his fiancée. Of course, those old geezers also made their move, just like in the book's plot. However, the outcome was vastly different. Because I was there to back him, he no longer had to live a life of constant hiding. The entire Xiao family was also a renowned clan in the cultivation world, and the Qilin's son officially ushered in his own rebirth through fire. Springs came and went, countless years passed. The sect elders, some grew old, others entered seclusion. On the day Xiao Feiyu reached the peak of the nascent soul stage, he formally tendered his resignation to me. For him, the protagonist, going to the mortal world for training was the best choice. On the peak, only Qin Shiyu and I remained. Perhaps because of the supreme bone, Qin Shiyu's cultivation advanced by leaps and bounds. She could break through a minor realm, even if she did nothing all day. As for the heavenly tribulation lightning, it was like a mere tickle when it struck this little girl. Master, what exactly is your cultivation level? I lay on a recliner, and Qin Shiyu, crouching beside me, asked with a curious expression, "What do you think?" I closed my eyes, murmuring softly, "Master, please tell me, just tell me." The little one tugged hard at my sleeve, shaking it. When I didn't speak, the little one actually stood up. The next second, I felt a weight on me. Opening my eyes, I saw that the little one was actually lying on top of me. "Shiyu, get up quickly." Saying this, I tried to push Qin Shiyu away, but who would have thought? The little one clung desperately to my clothes, refusing to let go. "No, no, if you don't tell me, I'll never let go." Helpless, I simply lay still. Qin Shiyu, like a kitten, curled up on me, her fingers toying with a lock of her hair, continuously tickling my face. "Chen Chuan, Chen Chuan." My master's voice reached me, and I suddenly opened my eyes. Before I could push Qin Shiyu off my body, a divine rainbow descended upon my peak. The scene fell into momentary silence, and the atmosphere grew slightly awkward. Grandmaster." Qin Shiyu darted to the side, her small face completely flushed. Head bowed, she remained silent. "Master, why have you suddenly come my peak?" My master's face was dark, his entire expression showing a hint of anger. Afraid he would scold Qin Shiyu, I pulled Master and, turning into a divine rainbow, left the peak. All the way, Master remained silent. The two of us landed inside the main hall, where we saw Zhao Yueshuang standing tall. Decades had passed since we last met, yet she was still as beautiful as ever. Our eyes met, and neither of us spoke. Master's soft cough pulled me back from my daze. "Why have you returned?" Hearing this, Zhao Yueshuang bowed to me, her posture tinged with a hint of shyness. "The imperial borders have recently been frequently attacked by demonic beasts. I sensed something amiss, so I sent people to investigate, and they found this item. I wonder if you've ever seen it before." As Zhao Yueshuang spoke, she retrieved a crescent-shaped gem from her storage pouch. Traces of demonic energy lingered on the gem. This demonic energy didn't belong to this realm. It was somewhat similar to the aura of an outer realm demon. In my early years, when I first entered the Nine Heavens, I had encountered these beings. They had no physical form, resembling a pure malevolence. Anyone who fell victim to their influence would have their mind corrupted, turning them into something neither human nor ghost. How could something like this appear at the borders of the great Yin dynasty? At that time, I led hundreds of thousands of generals to repel the outer realm demons. To prevent their resurgence, I even secretly infiltrated their domain and manually crafted hundreds of nuclear bombs, throwing them in. Even if they weren't utterly destroyed, they'd at most be barely clinging to life. Now, calculating the time, only a few decades have passed. How could they make a comeback? To prevent the situation from worsening, I decided to go with Zhao Yueshuang to the Great Yin Dynasty to investigate. Before we departed, Master called out to me, "Shin Chuan, I don't know what happened between you and that little girl, sure you, but you must understand that within the sect, master-disciple etiquette is paramount. Be mindful of your actions and their impact." Master was the more conservative type. Over hundreds of thousands of years in the cultivation world, many master-disciple relationships eventually blossomed into romance. Of course, this would absolutely not happen to me. That girl Shiryu is the female protagonist of this book. Although Xiao Feiyu now cultivates the heartless Tao, that Tao is, frankly, a dangerous path. Sooner or later, one will be ensnared by love. Master, don't worry. What just happened on the peak was just a little girl being mischievous. Hearing this, Master nodded, his previously grim face finally relaxing. At that time, I already sensed the girl's affection, but I didn't take it seriously at all. I just took it as her admiration for me. "Let's go. Aren't you going back to pack your things? The situation is urgent. There's no time." Fearing complications, I didn't return to my peak. The two of us boarded the immortal boat and set off immediately. 3 days later, the imperial capital, the imperial palace. Zhao Yueshuang had arranged my accommodation. The atmosphere between the two of us throughout the journey was a bit awkward. How should I put it? After all, I had once destroyed most of her dynasty and even killed her blood brother. Meeting again, I always felt a little guilty. The four great protector kings of the East, West, South, and North had also been executed by me. Now, the great Yin dynasty's power was the weakest among the three dynasties. If it weren't for the backing of the Nine Heavens sect, it would have probably been annexed by the other two dynasties long ago. Just as I was pondering whether to cultivate a few trusted subordinates for Zhao Yueshuang, the main door was suddenly knocked upon. Enter. With a creak, the door was pushed open. I had originally thought it would be a maidservant who entered, but who would have thought it was Zhao Yueshuang? She was wearing an imperial robe, which gave her a unique charm. Upon her already beautiful face, there was now an added air of reigning over the world. Why are you here? Morning court just ended, and I happened to be passing by, so I thought I'd ask you to join me for a meal. It's fine, I'm not hungry. I wasn't sure if my brain had short-circuited or what to actually say something like that. The atmosphere became awkward once more. Then perhaps I just happened to. We both spoke at the same time, then fell silent once more. Zhao Yueshuang smiled faintly. She walked slowly to the side of my bed and sat down. You first. I rummaged through my storage bag, pulling out an emperor weapon and an immortal path cultivation technique. You can keep this emperor weapon in the Great Yin Dynasty from now on. Also, this is an immortal path cultivation technique, named the Vajra Nine Suns Palm. You can pick 4 trusted confidants, and I will personally instruct them. Upon hearing immortal Dao cultivation technique, the other party's pupils involuntarily widened slightly. The Great Yin Dynasty had existed for tens of thousands of years, acquiring many incomplete immortal Dao cultivation manuals. Though their power might not match imperial tier techniques, they were not far behind. Moreover, these were incomplete versions. If they could be pieced together, their power would be unimaginable. This cultivation technique is quite special. Practitioners must be virgins. Of course, once the technique is mastered, losing one's virginity won't be an issue. Just as I was introducing this to Zhao Yueshuang, a gentle, warm touch suddenly appeared on my face. It was her hand placed on my cheek. I saw her tease with great interest. So, have you mastered your technique yet? This. Of course. Don't overthink it. I just wanted to compensate you. Before I could finish speaking, Zhao Yueshuang straddled me and hugged me tightly. It's all in the past. With that, she directly kissed me. My brain instantly went into a frozen state. A gentle sensation came from my mouth as Zhao Yueshuang used her tongue to pry open my teeth, appearing utterly aggressive. No! Snapping back to reality, I pushed Zhao Yueshuang away, retreating repeatedly until I reached the edge of the bed, panting heavily. I felt my cheeks and ears burning hot. My entire body felt a surge of energy, and the true qi that had been calm within me also began to stir restlessly. Seeing this, Zhao Yueshuang's eyes were filled with affection. She slowly got up and approached me. The corners of her mouth curved up slightly, and her tone carried a hint of teasing. If I had known you were so easily flustered, I would have taken you down back in a mystic realm. Zhao Yueshuang and I had met in a mystic realm, where she and her sycophant saint son were trapped. I originally didn't want to meddle, but who would have thought she promised me many benefits? Following the logic that one should never pass up a good deal, I acted without hesitation. Of course, afterwards, I paid the price for my meddling. At the time, I didn't gain many benefits, but Zhao Yueshuang's sycophant saint son repeatedly tripped me up. The only thing I could do was get rid of him quickly. Afterward, the opposing sect investigated, and Zhao Yueshuang assisted in the inquiry. The result was that a major investigation uncovered me. I couldn't help it. He forced my hand. After all, it was a human life. If he hadn't repeatedly tried to kill me back then. So, you'll believe me, right, Princess Yueshuang? Initially, I harbored a sliver of hope, wondering if feigning pity could move Zhao Yueshuang. It wasn't that their sect was impossible to deal with, just that rectifying it would be a hassle. At that time, I had just transmigrated to this world, and my cultivation was only at the nascent soul stage. Of course, I only publicly displayed my golden core cultivation, which was already enough to astound those old geezers in the sect. If such an incident occurred, even if it came to light, I would only need to flee back to the sect with all my might, and my master would naturally protect me. Ultimately, at most, it would involve compensating with some cultivation techniques and weapons. But afterward, a punishment would naturally be unavoidable, and if I went out to cultivate again, who knows what obstacles they might place in my path. All right, I believe you. I'll try my best to keep this matter under wraps for you. Afterward, I'll find a scapegoat. To prevent any unforeseen incidents, you should return to the sect first. At the time, I had thought of 10,000 methods, but who would have thought that Zhao Yueshuang would simply agree like that? Afterward, my cultivation advanced by leaps and bounds. To eradicate that sect sooner, I even sacrificed my sleeping hours. Heaven never fails those who strive. In half a year, I successfully reached the tribulation transcending stage. To prevent any unforeseen circumstances, I followed the original villain's route from the book and even acquired a few demonic cultivation techniques. Finally, on a moonless, windswept night, I slaughtered everyone and everything in the entire sect from top to bottom, even the dog at the entrance and the free-range chickens in the backyard. Your Majesty, you are now the sovereign of a nation. How can you commit such disgraceful acts? Oh, and what does being the sovereign of a nation matter? When my imperial brother was on the throne, weren't you still killing whomever you pleased? I attempted to morally blackmail her, but it appears not only was it ineffective, I was also morally blackmailed in return. Zhao Yueshuang, what exactly do you want? Don't you know what I want? Zhao Yueshuang spoke, stepping closer to me, while I was forced to retreat again and again. My body was pressed into the corner, with absolutely no room left to retreat. Shen Chuan, though I am now the sovereign of a nation, from that secret realm until now, my heart has held only you. For so many years, day and night, I have yearned for you. Otherwise, I would not have been willing to persuade my imperial brother to bestow a marriage upon you at the Nine Heavens sect back then. Zhao Yueshuang gripped the edge of the bed with both hands, gazing down at me from above. Zhao Yueshuang, are you truly not afraid of me making a move against you? My words had barely faded when, to my surprise, Zhao Yueshuang directly tore open the front of her robes. Go on, kill me, kill me. A bare, pale scene appeared before my eyes. In that instant, I felt my blood and chi surge, and a warm stream flowed from my nostrils. If you kill me, then no one will be left to lead you to uncover the truth. It's true that I am the heavenly emperor, but only things belonging to this world can be inspected by me. That stone, however, belonged to an outer realm demonic god. Even with my unparalleled divining abilities, it was of no avail. Seeing that I was no longer resisting, Zhao Yueshuang reached out and gently lifted my chin. She leaned her mouth close to my ear and whispered softly, I know you don't value partners. Don't worry, I won't pester you either. All I ask for is a child with you. As Zhao Yueshuang spoke, she leaned in to kiss me. I, too, intended to go with the flow. Zhao Yueshuang was beautiful, had a good figure, and was currently the monarch of a nation. No matter how I looked at it, I wouldn't be at a disadvantage. Just as things were about to happen, the main door was suddenly pushed open. Master! Master! Qin Shiyu's voice entered my ears. Zhao Yueshuang and I turned our heads towards the doorway, only to see her standing there, staring blankly at us. The atmosphere instantly turned awkward. All three of us stood dumbfounded on the spot. Before I could react, Qin Shiyu pulled out her 8 treasures 9 aperture spear and let out a furious roar. Demoness! How dare you seduce my master? Prepare to die. Zhao Yueshuang reacted quickly too, and the two instantly locked in combat. The room shattered into pieces under the clash of spiritual energy, and the two fought from the ground to the sky. The scene in the Imperial Palace also instantly descended into chaos. I couldn't let the situation escalate, so I intervened and stopped the two of them. You stinky girl, this is the Imperial Palace. Do you know that trespassing in the Imperial Palace is a capital offense? Oh, come on, come on. Do you think your granny is afraid of you? If you dare to hurt me, my master will just smack your great Yin dynasty away again. Hey, you little brat. I was almost your master's wife. Do you know anything about respecting elders? Pa, you my master's wife? Never. The two stood one on each side of me, ceaselessly bickering. Helpless, I could only cast a spell to seal Qin Shiyu's mouth. After all, in the Imperial Palace, one had to save Zhao Yueshuang some face. My apologies, your majesty. This disciple of mine is mischievous and unruly by nature and has ruined your residence. She and I will no longer trouble you here in the Imperial Palace. Please have someone calculate the damages. I will settle the compensation with you tomorrow when I come to give my lesson. Without waiting for a reply, I enveloped Qin Shiyu with my qi, transforming into a divine rainbow, and we vanished completely. Inside the inn, Master, do you like that demoness? I do not. Nonsense. She treated you like that, and you didn't even lift a finger, yet you claim you don't like her. I really don't. And another thing, just now, you even called me unruly right in front of her. Back on the peak, you always said I was your sweet little comfort. Qin Shiyu burst into tears, crying nonstop. Seeing this, I quickly went forward to coax her. But this little girl showed no sign of stopping at all. Then tell me, what will it take for you to forgive your master? Hearing this, Qin Shiyu finally stopped crying and stared at me with a wronged expression, asking, "Did you two kiss just now?" "No," I replied decisively. And in that very instant, my conscience suddenly gave a sharp pang. But it was only a single pang. Then close your eyes. What are you going to do? Master is bullying me. All right, I'll close them. As my vision turned dark, the next second I was tackled by Qin Shiyu. Before I could open my eyes, a warm, soft touch met my lips. I was just about to push the girl away when, who would have thought, this little wretch actually bit my lower lip hard. It hurt so much that tears welled up in my eyes. Qin Shiyu saw the tears in the corner of my eyes, and only then did she stand up, looking utterly content. Time for bed. I'm not talking to you anymore, you big dummy master. With a creak, the door closed. I sat before the mirror, looking at the bite wound on my lip, and couldn't help but murmur to myself, "Little lass, you're so heavy-handed," I said, casting a spell to heal the wound on my lips. In the days that followed, I was practically in a constant state of turmoil every day. The two women would fight the moment they met. Fortunately, my time in the Great Yin Imperial Dynasty wasn't long. Following the clues, we continued our investigation. We successively passed through the Great Yin Imperial Dynasty, the Hundred Flowers Sect, the Northern Realm Holy Land, and the Southern Isle Imperial Dynasty. For some unknown reason, practically every time I arrived at a new place, I would always get entangled with those women in some inexplicable way. A kind of karma that was hard to define. These women weren't just throwing themselves at me. They wanted to directly pounce on me. Coincidentally, Qin Shiyu would happen to witness it every time. Because of this, the little lass often had complaints about me. Fortunately, after several years, things finally started to take shape. It can be confirmed that these outer realm demons were preparing to play a grand game, a game that would use the entire cultivation world as its sustenance. Although I spent my days idle and basically didn't participate much in the affairs of the Nine Heavens, now that the common people are about to suffer a calamity, how could I stand by and do nothing? From the time I transmigrated to this world until now, every master and elder in the sect had treated me with kindness. Especially Master, that old man who had no children his entire life. Although I was his disciple, I knew well that in his eyes, I was no different from his own son. This journey to the outer realms would inevitably carry some risks. To prevent the immortal court from becoming leaderless should anything happen to me, I decided to dedicate the remaining time to fully training Xiao Feiyu and Qin Shiyu. Xiao Feiyu is exceptionally talented. Even without my help, ascending to the celestial realm would only be a matter of time. But time is pressing now, And what's more, I need him to be able to shoulder the responsibilities of the Celestial Emperor. Although Qin Shiyu is not quite on par with Xiao Feiyu, her character is fortunately much stronger. Now, with her supreme bone, her future achievements will not be inferior to Xiao Feiyu's. Immediately, I made all the necessary arrangements and sent a sound transmission for Xiao Feiyu to return to the sect. Unexpectedly, upon returning from his recent cultivation journey, this fellow had actually achieved great mastery in the Tao of Ruthlessness. Outwardly, I announced that I was entering secluded cultivation. Master, where are we going? The Nine Heavens. The Nine Heavens? Isn't that a place only accessible after ascension? Qin Shiyu blinked her eyes. This girl had now entered the soul transformation cultivation stage, and relying on her physical strength, forcibly traveling to the immortal realm should not be an issue. As for Xiao Feiyu, his cultivation had now reached the peak of the tribulation transcension stage. The things Master is about to arrange for you might shock you, so prepare yourselves mentally. With a wave of my hand, the heavenly gate reopened. I, along with Xiao Feiyu and Qin Shiyu, transformed into divine rainbows and flew towards the heavenly court. On the way, I told them everything I had kept secret. Although they had already prepared themselves mentally, they were still incredibly shocked after hearing my words. Oh my master, I previously guessed you were strong, but I never imagined you were this strong. I thought you were an immortal of the mortal realm who had ascended and then returned to experience the mundane world. But who would have thought you were actually the heavenly emperor? Xiao Feiyu's face was filled with excitement, whereas Qin Shiyu wore a different expression. The girl also had a smile on her face, but a hint of bitterness lurked within it. Passing through 33 heavenly palaces and 72 treasure halls, I soon arrived at the south heavenly gate with the two youngsters. Above the Lingxiao treasure hall, immortal Qi billowed. The surrounding soldiers wore white armor, their faces stern. Xiao Feiyu released his divine sense, carefully perceiving everything within the hall. The spiritual energy here alone was easily more than 10,000 times stronger than in the lower realm. And these guards, who seemed like mere background characters, which one of them wasn't a rare genius in the lower realm before. No, to be precise, the guards who could reach this place were geniuses among those rare geniuses. Because a large portion of people were still in the first and second heavens, doing the hardest, most exhausting, and dirtiest work. Indeed, Xiao Feiyu couldn't help but exclaim, in the cultivation world, the one thing never lacking is genius. I smiled and patted the young man's shoulder, my thoughts inevitably drifting back to Blue Star. No matter where one is, geniuses are never in short supply. Some people spend their entire lives striving, ranking first in their class, first in their school, first in their city, and finally, after the college entrance examination, they leap over the Dragon Gate to claim the title of provincial top scholar. They believe they are geniuses, entering their dreamed-of Peking University or Tsinghua University, only to discover that in those two places, the most common thing is ordinary geniuses like themselves. Some people strive to cultivate immortality, eventually becoming one of the 100,000 heavenly soldiers and generals tasked with subduing the Monkey King. All right, enough chatter. I'll arrange your lessons now. Alchemy, enlightenment, qi cultivation, body tempering, weaponry, talismans. You too must master all of these and reach the pinnacle. Upon hearing this, the two groaned endlessly, but I paid them no mind. Soon, two subordinates arrived and led Qin Shiyu and Xiao Feiyu away. If it weren't for the pressing time, I wouldn't want to be so demanding of them. With that, I looked up at the sky. Through the cosmic stars, I saw that the seal in the void had begun to subtly loosen. Almost a century passed in the blink of an eye. During this time, I also took some time to return to my sect. The Nine Heavens sect was still there, but many old faces were gone, replaced by many new ones. My subordinates reported that Qin Shiyu and Xiao Feiyu's strength was now sufficient to enter the ninth heaven. Upon hearing this, the worry that had been weighing on me finally lifted. Your Majesty, that thing is restless again. I understood it was time to resolve these matters. I sent for my armor, got everything ready, and took hundreds of thousands of troops, preparing to march to the battlefield. Your Majesty, should I inform? No need. Before my subordinate could finish speaking, I interrupted. Should something happen to me, these 9 heavens will be taken over by those 2. Zhou Hua, you have been with me the longest and are my most trusted confidant. I entrust them to your care in the future. Zhou Hua saluted me, and then I commanded my 9 dragons and headed straight for the Grand Void battlefield. Along the way, for some unknown reason, I felt a deep sense of trepidation. This feeling was something I had never experienced in my hundreds of years of cultivation. But I knew that now that matters had escalated to this point, retreating was not an option. And just as I had anticipated, with the seal broken, those heavenly demons from beyond the realm were already prepared. The great battle was imminent. Hundreds of years of war had left my body with scars, big and small. These creatures were considerably stronger than they had been last time. Surrender, Heavenly Emperor, you are not our match. If you agree to submit to me, I can grant your human race a path to survival. All you need to do is regularly offer me 2-legged sheep as tribute. Hearing them refer to us as 2-legged sheep, a torrent of rage erupted from within me. I didn't hesitate to drag my severely wounded body into a fierce struggle with them. But I knew that all I could do now was merely buy time. In this great battle, I was destined to lose. And what I could do now was to try my best to weaken their strength with a strategy of harming 1,000 enemies at the cost of 800 to myself. This way, it would also lessen the pressure on Qin Shiyu and Xiao Feiyu. Master, we're here to help you. 2 familiar voices reached my ears. I turned my head to see the figures of Qin Shiyu and Xiao Feiyu appearing behind me. Both had potent auras, clearly having reached the 9th peak, just 1 step away from the position of Heavenly Emperor. Good. Today we shall let these heavenly demons witness the capabilities of our human race. With the addition of Xiao Feiyu and Qin Shiyu, the situation on the battlefield instantly changed. Ultimately, the heavenly demons were successfully sealed by me, but I knew clearly that as long as they weren't eliminated, they would surely make a comeback in the future. However, my severely wounded body was already at its limit, and my strength could only reach the peak of the 8th realm. It's all right, Master. Leave the rest to us. Qin Shiyu and Xiao Feiyu transformed into a streak of divine light and entered the enemy's domain. I wanted to stop them. Just as I was about to speak, my vision went black, and I completely passed out. When I woke up, several decades had already passed. Master, you're awake. Qin Shiyu was sitting beside me. Where is this? The mortal realm. Don't worry, Master. Senior Brother has completely dealt with that group of sky demons. Because the position of the Heavenly Emperor was vacant, Senior Brother has now filled it. I tried to get up, but only felt my whole body weak and sore. I couldn't even sense a trace of spiritual energy. What happened to me? Hearing this, Qin Shiyu smiled slightly. She pressed me back onto the bed and pulled out a vial of potion from her chest. Don't move, Master. Your cultivation has been sealed, and you are now no different from a mortal. I was somewhat shocked by her words. As I watched that mischievous girl Qin Shiyu shaking the bottle in her hand, I knew it had to be her doing. How was that possible? Although my realm has fallen, I am still immune to all poisons. Qin Shiyu opened the bottle and placed it in front of my nose. A subtle aroma instantly entered my nostrils. Instantly, that sense of powerlessness welled up again. Of course I know, but this is the 9 nether flower from the sky demon realm. It doesn't belong to this realm. Back then, to find it, I spent quite a bit of effort. Throughout these decades of your unconsciousness, I would place this item before your nose for a quarter of an hour every day. That girl Qin Shiyu grew more excited as she spoke. She propped my chin up with her finger. I deliberately turned my face away. Master, you're not being good like this. As Qin Shiyu spoke, she slowly slid her hand downwards, caressing my chest. I tried to resist, but to my surprise, she simply cast a spell and bound me. Shiyu, what are you doing? I am your master. I know. It's precisely you, Master, that I'm tying up. The allure and Qin Shiyu's voice made me tingle all over, my bones going somewhat soft. I could clearly feel an indescribable emotion assailing my spirit. Qin Shiyu, you dare use an enchantment spell on your master. Qin Shiyu grinned at my words, a faint pink glow appearing in her pupils. To keep myself from losing my sanity, the only thing I could do was bite through the tip of my tongue. As blood gushed out, my mouth filled with a salty, metallic taste. My spirit also stabilized under the stimulus of the pain. Seeing this, Qin Shiyu fell into a panic. She stepped forward and gripped my mouth. Open your mouth. I told you to open your mouth. Qin Shiyu cast a spell, forcibly prying open my mouth. When she saw my teeth and mouth covered in blood, she couldn't help but become crestfallen. Master, do you really hate me that much? I could clearly see two streams of tears flowing from the corners of Qin Shiyu's eyes. And then the initial scene unfolded. In order to make me yield, Qin Shiyu truly exhausted every possible method. Master, I brought you your favorite yellow croaker. The room door was pushed open, and Qin Shiyu entered, holding a plate of freshly cooked yellow croaker. The aroma wafted into my nostrils, but I didn't have the slightest appetite. Seeing my silence, Qin Shiyu placed the yellow croaker on the table, then stepped forward and embraced me tightly. Master, Shiyu truly didn't mean to imprison you. As long as you agree to marry Shiyu, I'll grant any wish you have, okay? As I inhaled the jasmine fragrance emanating from the girl, my brows couldn't help but furrow. It wasn't that I disliked Shiyu. It's just that I ultimately don't belong to this world, and who knows when I'll return. In that other world, I have many loved ones I care about deeply. I couldn't just abandon them. Just as I was lost in thought, the system's voice suddenly rang in my ear. Host, a message has arrived from the main system. As long as you agree to marry Qin Shiyu, it can send you back to your original world. I didn't rush to answer the system's question. If you were to ask if I wanted to return to Blue Star, of course I did. But even more, I didn't want to deceive Qin Shiyu for it. This child, I'll watch her grow up. Can I take Shiyu with me? I asked the system within my spiritual consciousness, and the system fell silent. I already knew the answer. Perhaps for Qin Shiyu and me, parting was the best outcome. All right, I promise to marry you. Qin Shiyu first stared blankly upon hearing this, likely not having processed it. Master, you really aren't tricking me. I nodded lightly. The wedding was held as scheduled. The day before the wedding, Qin Shiyu gave me a pair of bracelets. These are called locking love rings. As long as we wear them, no matter how far apart we are, we can feel each other's hearts. The wedding day was grand and spectacular. Even Xiao Feiyu rushed over. Master, have you really come to terms with it? A hint of bitterness couldn't help but appear on my face. Feiyu promised Master, no matter what happens in the future, you must take good care of your junior sister. That kid Xiao Feiyu chuckled. Of course, Shiyu is my junior sister. As soon as the wedding ceremony concluded, a beam of light suddenly shot down from the sky, enveloping me. My body slowly drifted upwards toward the sky. Qin Shiyu tried repeatedly to step forward and stop me. When I transformed into a soul body, her hand passed through my body, unable to grasp anything. Master, I beg you, don't leave me. Don't leave Shiyu alone. Qin Shiyu screamed loudly, tears streaming from her eyes. I saw it with my eyes and felt the pain in my heart, but there was nothing I could do now. After returning to Blue Star, I woke up from my hospital bed. My mother, already looking haggard, was by my side. It was also due to a car accident that I had transmigrated in the first place. Son, are you awake? My mother looked at me with some disbelief. Mom, I'm back. Over the course of a month, my life gradually returned to normal. Yet I would often sit by the bed, lost in thought, Qin Shiyu's image appearing in my mind. If it weren't for the affection ring on my wrist, perhaps I would suspect all these things were a dream. It's not that I hadn't thought of ways to remove the bracelet, but no matter what methods I tried, the bracelet seemed welded to my wrist. So I simply gave up completely. Now, the most important thing was tomorrow's interview. On Blue Star, I had been in a coma for a full 3 years after the car accident. My previous company had already fired me. It was precisely because of this 3-year gap that every resume I sent out seemed to vanish without a trace. It wasn't until recently that a newly established company in the high-tech zone sent me an email asking me to prepare for a first interview. The next day, I changed into my suit and took the subway early in the morning, ready for the interview. Just as I arrived downstairs at the company, for some reason, a strange feeling welled up in my heart. The affection ring on my wrist felt slightly warm. But because of the interview, I didn't pay it much mind. I took the elevator up to the 22nd floor. There were quite a few people here for interviews. I handed in the resume I had already prepared. Soon, someone called out my name. Lu Chinchuan. Which one is Mr. Lu Chinchuan? Hearing my name called, I quickly stood up. I saw a young, beautiful woman walk towards me, a smile on her face. Are you Mr. Lu Chinchuan? Not knowing why she was looking for me, I nodded blankly. Please come this way with me. Many interviewees looked at me upon hearing this, and I was somewhat puzzled. I followed the woman to the 33rd floor. This is the CEO's office. The CEO said they want to interview you personally. What's our CEO's name? How should I address them? Our CEO's surname is Chin. Chin? With a ding, the elevator doors opened, and a familiar figure appeared before me. Unlike before, she had changed from a turquoise Taoist robe into an OL outfit. Master, long time no see. I turned to flee, but the elevator doors had already closed. Chin Shiyu slowly walked towards me. At that moment, I felt like a lamb awaiting slaughter. The scene shifted. I was pinned by Chin Shiyu on the office sofa, my shoulders and chest covered in bite marks. My face was also covered in lipstick prints. She straddled me, refusing to relent, leaving me alone on our wedding day. Master, you truly have a cruel heart. No, Shiyu, I wanted to take you with me back then. It's just... Before I could finish, Chin Shiyu kissed me again. I tried to resist, but who would have thought? I was captured by her in one swift move. She gently lifted my chin with her index finger. Her eyes held a hint of playfulness as she spoke. Mr. Lu Chinchuan, if you don't behave, I will completely blacklist you in the entire industry. I can offer you a good salary, but as for what you'll have to give in return, I think you're well aware. Knowing there was no escape now, I simply got up, embraced Chin Shiyu, and leaned into it proactively. So, President Chin, is this what they call unspoken rules? Yes, do you agree? I didn't answer, but instead showed Chin Shiyu my answer through my actions. Things moved quickly between Chin Shiyu and me. From meeting the parents to getting married, it only took 2 months. Now she's 3 months pregnant, and I often wake up abruptly in the middle of the night, wondering if everything before me is just a fleeting dream. But when I turn around and see Chin Shiyu sleeping soundly beside me, my anxious heart settles once more.